Hey, so you're here because you want to know all about the world of Cricut. No, not that one.
Well, what a start from Dinesh Karthik!
No, not that one either. I'm talking about this Cricut. Cricut sell 3 different machines, the Joy, the Explore, the Maker, and you're not sure which one is right for you. Here is the short answer, and if you want to know the details of each of these machines, then check the timestamps below. The Cricut Joy is the smallest and cheapest of all the machines. It is perfect for craft beginners, toe dippers, hot steppers. It is quick, it's easy to use. You can do all sorts of things like personalizing t-shirts to water bottles, creating labels for your larder. Think of it as the gateway to the crafting world. If this was a car, it'd be like your first car. You run around, gets you to work, gets you back, no fancy bells and whistles. Let's skip to the Maker. This is the biggest and the most expensive of all the machines, and it is the top-end product. It can do the most of all the machines. It uses the most tools, cuts a massive range of materials, including wood and leather. If this was a car, think of it as a Bentley. It owns the roads, it commands respect, and it does it with finesse. But you know what? Maybe you don't want to cut wood and leather. And if that's you, then the Explorer is your friend. This one is actually a similar size to the Maker, maybe a teeny tiny bit smaller. It is usually £100 to dollars cheaper than the Maker, and therefore it doesn't take quite as many tools or cut quite as many materials, but the range is still massive. There's like 100 materials it can cut. If this is a car, then it's definitely an upgrade from your first run around, but when you're driving it, you are still eyeing up the competition on the roads. Okay, let's get into the meat of this video. First up, if you've never owned a Cricut machine, you might not really understand what they do, so here is the elevator pitch. These are digital cutting machines. You connect them to an app on your phone or your laptop, you design a project, and then the machine cuts it out for you. With basically no technical knowledge, you can create some really professional looking crafts. Now, they can do a lot more than just cutting, but we'll cover that as we go through the rest of the video. Cool, so now you guys know roughly what the machines do. Let's get into the comparison. I do have in-depth videos about the Joy and the Maker on my channel, but this video really is just to do a comparison between the 3 to help you decide which machine is best for you and your needs. Let's start with the Cricut Joy. This is for those of you who just want to try some simple custom crafts. Home organization labels, small vinyl stickers, last minute greetings cards. You want to try crafting, but you don't want something that takes loads of planning or is very expensive or takes up loads of space. This is quick and easy, it's not intimidating. Most things that you will make on the Joy will take you 15 minutes at most. It's small, it's easy to store, it's easy to transport, and most importantly, it's cute! Or as my son would say, cutie, 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 cutie. But you know what? It can still do really intricate and precise cuts. The range of materials it does cut is limited to like iron-on vinyl, adhesive vinyl, cardstock, paper. But if you are just a craft beginner, someone who's just dipping your toes in, just trying it out, then you don't really need a lot more than that. In terms of tools, it does the usual cutting with the fine point blade. It can also take a pen if you want to do drawing or, writing. And it also has a foil transfer kit that is specially made for the Joy, which is very cool. As the smallest of the machines, it cuts the smallest designs.
Well, duh.
But excitingly, it does cut up to 4 feet long if you're doing an individual shape. But if you're doing like a series of repeated cuts, you can go as long as 20 feet. But for that, you will need to use the special smart materials. You can also cut on the mat, where you place your material onto a mat, feed it through the machine, and let it do its thing. That will limit the size of the projects you can make because the actual mat is very teeny tiny, which is why it's so cool that you can use the smart materials, which, as I've said, can cut much longer. To be honest, I haven't yet found a use for a 4 foot long cut or 20 foot long cut.
What's its purpose?
I mean, I imagine you might do this if you wanted to create like a nice decal for a bedroom wall, or maybe, you know, you've had like a bulk order come in on something that you sell and you can just get the Cricut to cut all of those out at the same time. In terms of the machine itself, there really isn't that much going on. It just has a lid that opens and a clamp where you place the tool. It doesn't have any buttons whatsoever. It just automatically turns on when you plug it in, and all of the functionality is driven by the software. You'll have to download something called Cricut Design Space. This is a completely free software to use, and you can use it on your phone, on your iPad, on your laptop, you know, Android, Apple, it all works. Design Space can be a bit hard to figure out at first, but there are loads of tutorials out there. I've linked a few from my own channel for you below. Once you've played around a little bit, you kind of get used to it. Design Space does have lots of free images and free projects that you can use, but if you really want to open up like the full functionality of it, then it's best to become a monthly subscriber, and then you get access to like 200,000 images and projects, and that number is always growing. So yeah, you prepare your project in Cricut Design Space. You can do that yourself, or you can use a ready-to-make project. Then you connect via Bluetooth to your Cricut machine and hit make it, and then just you let it do its thing. You're going to be using the Cricut Joy for making things like greeting cards. It has a very cool card mat that is specifically only available for the Joy and allows you to make cards, you know, like in a couple of minutes. I've had to do that all the time at the last minute before a party or something. Lifesaver. You know, you could do labels for water bottles, like personalizing things for your kids for school, their bags, pencil cases, and lots of people love to use it for home organization because you can just make labels so easily. You can in fact buy sticky label paper, use a pen to write onto it, and then just, you know, go crazy organizing your house. The downsides as far as the Joy is concerned are, first of all, that it doesn't do print then cut. Now this is where you use your actual printer that takes ink to print a design, and then you can put that onto a mat and then feed it through your machine and it will cut around your design. Lots of people use this to create stickers, but you just can't do that on a Joy. The other downside, which is common to all the machines, is just the cost of entering the Cricut universe. It's a bit like Apple. I mean, the products are at a premium, and you can understand it because they are very beautifully engineered products. They work really wonderfully, but they are expensive. And then for all of the accessories and materials that you'll want to buy, those also are not cheap. For those of you who are more serious about crafting, then you'll want to think about the Explore or the Maker. And when it comes to the two larger machines, it is best to think of them side by side and compare as we go. In summary, the Explore is about $100 cheaper than the Maker. It therefore doesn't do quite as much as the Maker does, but it is still a powerful and versatile machine and definitely worth considering seriously. In terms of the design, they are both beautiful. A lot of work has gone into making these things look as nice as possible. They both have a lid that opens up and a drawer that opens down. You have two clamps in the machine. Clamp A, which is for pens or the scoring stylus, and clamp B, which is for the various blades that you can use. There's a bigger range for the Maker in terms of blades than there is for the Explore, but something like the stylus, scoring stylus, you can use in either machine. They both feature a stand for your iPad or your phone. They also have a USB port, so you could be charging your phone at the same time as using it to craft. And they have multiple little compartments for storing your tools or, you know, snacks. Both machines use the Design Space software, so there is going to be the learning curve of both the software and the machines. It's going to be more so than the Joy because the machines just do so much more. So this is obviously a perk of the machines, that they have so many more possibilities, but I'll tell you, when you start using a new blade for the first time or a different material, it will just send you into spirals of confusion, or at least it does for me. So you kind of have to just be prepared for that learning curve. I mean, it's definitely worth sticking with it. Just, you know, go in with your eyes open. So the Explore is cheaper, but remember that consumables and the accessories are the same for both machines. Obviously, apart from the tools that only work with the Maker and not with the Explore. So there are additional costs to consider. You should think of them as your running costs, you know. In order to use the machines, you have to buy the materials to make your projects. Cricut products generally will come at a premium because, you know, they've been engineered to work seamlessly with the machines and make things as easy as possible. I have always had a good experience using original Cricut blades and Cricut materials. You can of course try non-branded consumables. I definitely don't recommend that for the actual blades because those are like a one-time investment and they should last you a long time, and you don't want to use something that is going to be substandard. But when it comes to like the vinyls and the cardstocks, you can definitely try non-brand. You'll just kind of have to play around with it a bit to get the right settings to get a perfect cut. Size, yeah, I mean, they're basically the same. Weight. So the Maker is technically a bit heavier, but to be honest with you, neither of these machines is that portable, so this is not something you're going to be moving around with you. You want to have a space for it in your home somewhere, and then it just wants to stay there. If you do need something that you can take around on trips with you, then just head back to the Cricut Joy portion of the video. Material options. So there are 100 or so for the Explore and 300 or so for the Maker. That's obviously a massive range, and I doubt any of us has actually cut all of the materials available in that list. So things like fabric can only be cut by the Maker, and then thicker materials like wood and faux leather can also only be cut by the Maker. If you don't think that you're going to be working with things like wood and chipboard, that kind of thing, then the Explore is probably more suitable for you. I mean, just so you know, when you do cut something like wood on your Maker, it takes quite a long time, like up to half an hour for it to cut. So it might be something which is just not for you. Tools. So at present, there are 6 tools that work with the Explore, and there are 13 that work with the Maker. Now, one thing you should understand is the Cricut team is constantly designing and coming up with new ideas, so I'm sure that there will be new tools that get released in the future, and those will for sure be compatible with the Cricut Maker. It has an adaptive tool mechanism. It basically means that the clamp can kind of adjust size. New tools can be created and fit in the Maker, but the Explore does not have that, and so they may not always be compatible with the Explore when there are new tools that come out. I guess they have to justify the difference in cost between the two machines somehow.
It's expensive.
Just be aware that your Maker is more future-proof than the Explore. Project size. So both machines work in the traditional way, which is where you take your mat, place your material on there and feed it through the machine. There are 2 sizes of mats, 12 by 12 inches and 12 by 24. So that gives you an idea of how big a project you can cut using the mat. But as with the Joy, you can use smart materials. Now, smart materials are the same materials as we had before, vinyls and iron-ons, but they have got a thicker backing, which means that the newer machines can cut directly onto that backing. You don't need to use the mat. So that means that you're no longer limited by the size of the mat in terms of how long a design you can cut, and in fact, you can go all the way up to 12 foot. Now, I'll be honest with you, as with the Joy, I do think that that is more of a vanity metric. I mean, I can't really think of many uses of cutting something that's 12 foot long. I mean, even if you were to create a decal for a wall, I also don't see how you would transfer it to the wall without needing to cut it into smaller sections anyway. You do get transfer tape in long lengths now as well, but I can't see how you could do that in one long transfer without it all just becoming a big mess. But, you know, we have that 12-foot cut option in our back pockets if we want it. Print then cut. So as I said, you can't do this on the Joy, but both the Explore and the Maker let you do the print and cut. Now, another Cricut mystery is that when it comes to print and cut, you can only cut to a maximum size of 6.75 inches by 9.25 inches. I know, it's completely seems random, doesn't make any sense. No one has an explanation as to why. It just is what it is.
It is what it is.
Hopefully they'll figure out, you know, how to make it fit onto a full like A4 size sticker sheet. But just so you know, if you do print and cut with your machines, you will end up with some wastage because you can't cut the full size of your A4 or 12 by 12 sticker paper. Connectivity. So yes, both machines will connect with Bluetooth, or you can use the USB wire. I will tell you that when I first got my Explore 3, I had a lot of trouble with the Bluetooth, so be aware of that. I'm hoping that by now the bug in the actual machines or the firmware has been corrected. If you don't, there is a fix. I have a video on the channel that talks you through it, so I will link that for you. But, you know, since I fixed it, I've had no issues with my Bluetooth on my Explore 3, and I've never had issues with the Maker. Okay, so there you have it. Now you know about all of the 3 different machines. I hope this has helped you to make a decision about which one you're gonna get. Let me know in the comments. Do you have any other questions, things that I haven't answered, or have you made a decision? Let me know which machine you're gonna get. If your mind has already turned onto what you need to buy next now that you know which machine you're getting, check out this video where I run through my essential purchases for the new Cricut owner. It was so great to chat to you guys about the Cricut machines today. I will see you guys in the next video, and until then, happy crafting!